Hello there, everybody. We see Nerf menacing Mila.
Is
Of
this
course.
a precursor of things to come, perhaps? But welcome all.
Yeah, hope everyone's excited for a really great race today. I think this is going to be a really exciting one to watch.
Yeah, we have Paum and Nerfirelia, two players who both won the opening round in the first round of the Swiss. So they're both 1-0 right now. And they both have really close times on the leaderboard and on unverified times from Discord as well. Just about kind of 15 seconds apart. So definitely could go all the way and they could stay close throughout the whole race potentially, which will be exciting.
Yeah. This is definitely, as we've seen in the tournament so far, you know, any race can come down to just like a bad death somewhere. But this is one of those races that has the potential to, barring any major mistakes, they're going to be neck and neck. All right, I'm going to check if the players are ready.
Yeah, whilst we get players ready, welcome everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day, enjoying your weekend, and ready for the first of two races in this second round. We've got one more race after this in about 2 hours, and then the second round will be finished, and we'll be knowing all of our next round matchups. So, very exciting day. So it looks like both of our racers are confirming they're ready. Obviously, we've got a little bit of delay here, so we will say goodbye to Mila and her lovely singing voice just for now. Maybe she will make a reappearance later. So good luck to both runners.
Yep.
And
Gonna
we'll
let them
very quickly be getting underway.
Yep. Slight delay. Gonna make sure that they're both on the correct screen and ready to go. And then we'll count them down and get ready to start. If you're all ready, JB, I'll count them down.
Please take it away.
Alrighty.
So Nerf did get a timer reset just in the nick of time, so that's all nice and good.
Yeah. Slight delay, but players should be getting started here shortly. Get your KP people arrives in the chat. Guess while we wait for the players to start, this is our second to last match of the second round. So things are progressing quickly here, getting closer and closer each round. Very exciting stuff.
There we go. All the KP people arrives coming out in chat. Beautiful to see. Looks like we do have a little bit of audio delay. Is that just me?
Small amount, and it looks like the players are a little desync. A very small amount. But pretty minimal, all things considered. Both players making their way through KP. Pretty usual stuff.
Yeah, we got a very nice sync up right now. Looks like a very solid KP for both runners.
Yeah, both
Both going to be exiting at about the same time.
Yeah, 5207 and a 5190, basically the same time. So we'll see early game here. I don't expect a lot of separation. There's a few minor things that could pull the players apart. You know, if one of them gets bonked on the Gruzzer drop, you're going to see a little separation there. Someone misses double spike a little bit there, but the VS split doesn't have too much variance in it generally once you're as good as these players are. Clean drop from Paum. Looks like Nerf got bonked once.
Yeah, Gruzzers can just be in annoying positions, so you just got to accept that that might happen.
Yeah, that damage is completely RNG. It's just the way it be sometimes.
Nerf getting the clean double spike, Paum having to clean up the lower aspid, so they're very close again now. Pretty much neck and neck once again.
Just like that, we're caught right back up. Wow, yeah, the sync is real here.
Yeah, it'll be a really exciting race if we're kind of even slightly close like this throughout more of the race.
It's almost like the players agreed that they were all going to cut the same grass too, I'm noticing. Maybe that's just every runner cuts that grass. I know I do too.
It is a very cathartic feeling to just go slashing at the grass a little bit.
You got to do something to keep yourself entertained on the first split.
Yeah, until we start getting more of our skills and our movement, it's a little bit of a walking simulator. We just have to get from the key item to the next key item, and then when we get more movement and more spells, then the route really opens up.
Right.
And of course, we will be getting all of the skills, which means all spells and their upgraded forms, all nail arts, and all movement abilities. We do not need to collect the Dream Nail, though.
Well, Dream Gate. We do need Dream Nail.
We need the Dream Nail. We do not need the upgrade for the Dream Nail.
Dream Nail is our very
Dream Nail is slightly
asterisk.
essential. So both runners giving a little parting gift to False Knight as they will be leaving the arena early. We do not need his Geo or City Crest because we're going to get into City via other unintended means.
Right.
And again, yeah, less than a second between the runners right now.
Yeah, Paum showing off a few more hits on the False Knight. I know Paum runs True Ending, where you do beat the False Knight up right at the start. Wow, yeah, within a tenth of a second heading into Mound is crazy.
Yeah, both pickups at about 333, 332. So yeah, really good pace for both runners right now.
Yeah.
So Vengeful Spirit or Fireball is going to be our first spell, and it's going to be the main source of damage for the early game. It's going to be doing 3 times more damage than our standard nail attack. So very useful for taking out bosses early on. The nail will mostly just be used as a soul collecting tool.
Yeah, this category, like most Hollow Knight categories that aren't 1XX, we don't upgrade our nail at all. So right now, like JB said, the nail does 5, Fireball does 15. Later on, once we have Shaman and some upgraded spells, we're going to be in a world of 120 damage Abyss Shrieks and 88 damage Desolate Dives. And our little 5 damage nail is really not going to be cutting it at that point.
Nerf getting really bad RNG on all the spits here. I think that might have been 5 or maybe 6. So Paum is going to be taking quite a little bit of a lead here.
Yeah, you hate to see that in a race. But that's just how it be sometimes.
Yeah, there is allegedly a 50-50 chance of a boulder being shot out at every opportunity there, but I think that's some rigged odds.
Yeah, they sure tell us that it's 50-50, but anecdotally, I don't know that I buy it.
I believe Paum has a recording of him getting 17 or maybe 18 spits in a row, which was quite ridiculous. I'm not sure if anyone's ever beaten that, and they just don't have a recording of it. The tournament record right now, I think, is 11 by Dude Cubed, but I might have missed a match where someone got more.
I don't think there's been more, but I could have missed it. All right, Paum getting the first fireball skip. So that's one of the big sort of like tech things in Green Path. We don't really have all the movement yet. So we're going to be relying on the fact that when you shoot the fireball, it resets your vertical momentum, and it also pushes you back just a little bit. And we can use that with some really good jumps and tight turnarounds to do a few skips that weren't really intended. Just move through the area a little faster.
The first fireball skip that we just saw only saves a few seconds, but Paum's coming up to one right now that is very major. Saves multiple minutes from having to go around the grand tour of Green Path, and he gets that very nicely.
Yeah, the second fireball skip is basically mandatory. There is a backup with the squit, which we see Nerf immediately goes for. Not playing around with going for the fireball again, just gonna take the squit of shame and move on. Yeah,
the squit didn't give excellent positioning there. He attacked almost immediately, and Nerf did pretty well to react to that one. Paum's going to have to go around on the third fireball skip, though. Was just a little bit too low when starting the fireball and didn't quite make the ledge. So Nerf has a little bit of a chance to catch up some time here.
And gets the skip.
Done very nicely.
Nice. Yeah, and just like that, you can see they sort of catch back up. That third skip, even though it has a very easy backup, it also saves a ton of time. Like walking around, you saw Paum had to weave back and forth to get up there. It's a very long walk. No double from Paum. We'll see if Nerf goes for it. Misses the double as well. That's all right.
Moss Knight just refusing to back up and receive the double fireball there. So they will have to farm a little bit more soul in this long room.
Speaking of doubles there, so that's going to be sort of a persistent thing throughout the run. The Vengeful Spirit and then later Shade Soul can push back enemies, or if enemies are moving backwards, as the fireball travels, it can hit them twice, so you'll get double damage from that. That's going to be really important in quite a few boss fights to just get that extra damage going.
Both runners getting really good RNG on these Moss Knights. They both spawn very close to the left, so they can fireball them both immediately. Always nice to see.
Yeah, not having to buy time to wait for the second night is, one, a little faster, but also, while there is a strategy for managing the first night to make sure that he backs up and gives you some space to work, it's always possible to mess that up, or he's just a jerk, and you can take some damage before Hornet.
So yeah, Hornet, our first boss that we actually defeat to completion, and a very good Hornet from Paum. Lots of doubles, lots of damage dealt in the air. Nerf looking like they're going to be just a little bit behind, and also a very good fight from them too.
Yeah, both players are a really good fight. Nerf basically managed to lock Hornet on the left side the entire time. The difference there is mostly, I saw Nerf miss one or two nail hits. Very, very minor. Very, very good fights from both players.
So we got a time difference of 9 seconds between the two runners right now. So yeah, still very close. Just a couple of fireball skips missed from one side or the other that's swaying the difference.
Yeah. And that's honestly after, when you consider that we had a 6th spit versus a 1st spit, that's a 10-second difference right there. With the fireball skip catch-ups and the Hornet fight, the difference we're looking at is basically just a difference in Balder Spit RNG right now.
So now we have Mothwing Cloak, the dash, our first movement item. Everything's going to pick up in speed just a little bit. And we're going on our way to get Mantis Claw now, so it allows us to climb walls and lets us get access to a vast increased number of areas.
Ooh.
Paum taking an unlucky dunk in the acid there. Just trying to go a little bit too fast, maybe.
Yeah,
Sounds a bit kind of a misnomer as speedrunners wanting to not go as fast as possible, but
yeah, it looked like he
sometimes
tried
it's-
to get a clip on a platform just to refresh his dash, and I don't know if it was hard to tell on the screen if he didn't quite touch the platform or didn't touch it long enough to get the dash refresh there.
Yeah, that's allowed Nerf to catch up by maybe 3 or so seconds. So they're very kind of well synced in like RTA right now, but Paum has just got slightly less time on the loading.
Yeah.
So picking up these fungal rocks, Geo is going to be very important in the early game because one of the first things we do once we have the vertical ability is we do a shade skip to the right side and we go and get dash slash as fast as possible, and that is a very big investment of Geo. 800 will be required, so we need all the Geo sources we can get here that are not too slow to pick up.
Yeah, and dash slash being sort of the defining characteristic of the all skills run on 1221. There's just a million and one different uses for nail arts in this category, really.
Both runners getting a really nice explosion pogo and the mantis pogo to get mantis claw very efficiently, and they're only going to be, I think, again 3 or 4 seconds between them.
Yeah, really, really solid showing from both players so far. Sub 10 claw is a good pace.
Nerf might have saved a very small amount of extra time. I think they may have skipped one of the pogos on the mantis youth in order to get up to mantis claw, which saved a small amount of time.
Right. So now we're heading over to Gruzmother. We're going to pick up Shaman Stone, which is going to give us an extra some percent of damage. It's variable on the spell. It's 33% on VS and Shade Soul, and it's different percents on Shriek and Dive and such, but that's going to give us a little boost to our DPS. It's the only charm we're going to have throughout this run. Nerf having to kill Jennifer.
Yeah,
We see it.
Paum had to slow down just a tiny bit there to gather a bit more soul from the Aspid when falling down through that room.
Right.
And just like that, Gruzmother is defeated.
Yeah, it's if as long as you come in with an appropriate amount of soul, it's a very consistent 3 nail fireballs and then 6 nail hits. Takes care of it real quick.
Excellent cleanup from Paum. Nerf had a good cleanup as well, but just one Gruzzer unfortunately decided to fly right to the top of the room, which slowed that cleanup down slightly, but Paum getting all the Gruzzers with just the 2 fireballs.
Nerf did get the wall cling storage coming out. Saves a very tiny amount of time, but also looks super cool. And unfortunately in this category, we'll be leaving Sly to his fate. He'll be stuck in his hut for the rest of the game. We don't need anything from him.
Yeah, we're going to do some dark rooms a little bit later on in the run. Lantern not required to navigate through them, and also since we're going to be using the dash slash in order to get Shade Soul, we don't need to buy the elegant key to do that the intended way. Paum getting a really early fireball, so had to kind of adjust his position on the wall, and it made it look a little bit worrying, but did manage to pull that off right at the last second. I think any later and that shade would have respawned.
Yeah, that was very scary. The damage boost into Pogo worked out really well, but like JB said, the shade can only go so far from its spawn position, and if it gets too far, it'll just reset back to where it spawned. And if that had happened, Paum would have been losing a lot of time just going back over there, releashing the shade, coming back, doing the skip again.
As it is right now, I think there's probably less than 1 second between the 2 runners, which is incredible to see that they're like almost a quarter of the way through the run now. Or more than a quarter of the way through the run, actually, I suppose. And
Yeah, it looks like
they're just so close.
Yeah, it looks like Paum is about exactly 1 second ahead still. But very, very, very close. So here we're going to see the players gathering some Geo, getting ready for the aforementioned dash slash, costs 800 Geo. You might notice a little variance in exactly which husks get killed for Geo. That's a decision. So obviously every husk you have to take the time to kill costs time. And so there's always a decision with the players, just sort of what their Geo's looking like, how much they've sort of incidentally picked up in addition to the sort of set sources that we have. They can make decisions like, oh, I can afford to skip this husk, save, a tiny bit of time.
Yeah, both players got a little bit unlucky on spawn positions, and Geo kind of just exploded everywhere and made it a bit difficult to pick up. But thankfully they do get a quit out here, so any damage taken is not important. And it looks like they will both be exiting back to that King Station bench and going towards dash slash. Again, still very much in sync.
Yeah. 31 out of that room. So it looks like Nerf did lose about another second in the Gorgeous Husk split.
There was a little bit of a missed wall jump climbing up to the top of the station room, so they had to make a second jump back up. But again, very negligible.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, as a viewer and also commentator, I'm hoping that's the sort of race we're going to be in the entire time, is just real tiny narrow edges the whole way down.
So the rest of our Geo is going to come from farming these small hoppers that drop 16 Geo each, and hoping that the primal aspids hovering around leave both of our runners as well alone as possible.
Yeah, there is a consistent setup and cycle for these hoppers. They're one of the few enemies in Hollow Knight that actually spawns and behaves consistently. But if you get a little bit off, if you miss a nail hit, if you step a little too close and they bonk you and get things out of the proper order, it's easy to get bullied by primal aspids and hoppers and take a little extra damage, which you saw from Nerf there.
Yeah, generally, if we leave them alone, they don't give us too much trouble. If we start attacking them, that's when they get angry and start fighting back.
Right. So we see Nerf with 11 Geo after dash slash, Paum with 26. That's a pretty comfy amount for Paum, which looks good. We'll see how Nerf's Geo gathering works. So the next thing we'll need Geo for is the 300 for King Station when we come back. And that's really the last spot in the run where Geo matters, in terms of needing to pay attention to the number and collect stuff. So there's a lot of variance in the collection for this one based on how much you get out of Sanctum and things like that determines which husks you need to actually kill.
Yeah, Sanctum has quite a lot of enemies that drop large amounts of Geo, but generally we don't want to be spending too much time fighting them because they're slow and there's lots of RNG involved in where the Soul Twisters decide to spawn and whether they decide to shoot us. So generally we kind of want to ignore them and just hope that Geo falls in our path, and we'll catch any deficit back up later from these small husk enemies on the way out.
Yeah, luckily the city husks are nice and consistent Geo sources on the way out. You can see this hallway, they're all just sort of lined up in there for us. The Twisters do give good Geo, but because they're flying enemies, it tends to just spray all over the place. So it's basically just luck if you manage to pick that up or not. Both players heading up into Sanctum, the one of the favorites of speedrunners. Soul Sanctum presents a lot of challenges. We do have dash slash, which is going to enable us to skip a lot of Soul Sanctum. This is probably the friendliest Soul Sanctum in any speedrun. It's still Soul Sanctum, though. You can still have twisters spawn on top of you and be obnoxious and things like that.
Looking like Paum still holding about a 7 or 8 second lead, I think, at the Shade Soul pickup. And you saw in the first room with the Twister, Paum managed to kill the Twister in the very middle of the room and pick up all of the Geo. Nerf did end up picking most of that Geo up, but the Twister died all the way on the left-hand side, so lost a little bit of time going to collect that Geo, unfortunately.
Yeah. And there we did see the first instance of dash slash skipping something for us. We whacked that lever through the wall. We're going to see another one here to hit that lever. Lets us avoid a room with a couple twisters.
And this Soul Warrior is going to go down very quickly due to the Shade Soul double doing 80 damage.
Yeah, very
almost
clean.
A trivial fight right there.
Yeah, it's 2 Shade Soul doubles and 4 nail hits will kill it, assuming that all lands. So it's a very, very fast fight.
Nerf getting kind of an unlucky Sanctum so far. That's 2 times the Twister has just teleported right in front of them. Thankfully, we do get to skip this affectionately dubbed Hell Room by, again, dash slashing through the wall to hit that lever. And we're going to be fighting Soul Master to get Dive, our second spell.
Right. And hopefully, so there is a quick kill for this fight. One of the properties of Shade Soul is it can hit things through walls. So those soul containers we passed on the way in, the players are going to try and hit those with a Shade Soul right at the beginning, and then collect that and use it to just blast the heck out of Soul Master right away and end the fight super fast.
And that is it over. Paum has eliminated Nerf as well. Very close behind. Excellent fight from both runners.
Yeah, he was a little bit rude. I didn't see a lot of doubles there. There's mostly just RNG to that. Sometimes Master will teleport so that you can get doubles, and sometimes he won't. But yeah, very clean. Heading into phase 2.
So Paum doing side slashes, and Nerf trying to do double up slashes to farm extra soul here. Paum with a very good cycle, and again Nerf right behind.
Yeah, so that how you do those, the up slashes and the side slashes, is sort of just preference. The side slashes get punished a little harder if he fake dives you. It can throw off your rhythm a little more, whereas the just jumping and up slash, you just kind of keep doing it.
So Paum's going to be looking for 50 Geo between here and King Station. Aurelia is going to need just a little bit more, 70 Geo to make that 300.
Yeah, and 50 Geo, honestly, pretty trivial. On our way out to Kings, we dive through the floor in Spire, and that's like 20-something because there's always 2 husks up there. So Paum gonna have to do very minimal work to collect. Nerf also looking pretty good, probably just gonna have to shoot 1 row of husks.
Yeah, both runners having a very good Soul Sanctum. Paum slightly coming off better, about a 13-second lead right now, and that's going to be increased. Nerf taking a little dunk on the spikes on the elevator there, having to reset to the top of the room. That's very unfortunate. We'll see this a lot, especially from runners who are behind, trying to maybe take slightly more risks, trying to take slightly tighter optimizations, and this is the life of a speedrunner. You try and save 0.1 seconds and you end up losing 5. It's so sad, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Heading into the next segment, this is going to be probably the most dangerous segment in the run. Not necessarily from you're most likely to die, although that can be true because it's a very long segment. But we're getting this bench in Spire, and we're going to be quitting back out to here later after we get Crystal Heart. You see Nerf almost forget the bench.
Yeah, much, much later, by the way. So we have to do all of the Crystal Heart split. So we have to get Crystal Heart, we have to get the Descending Dark, we get the Dream Nail. And we can't take any safety benches between now and then, because we need to save quit back to this bench later.
Right. And because it's so long and such a far split, if the players do take an unfortunate death, basically anywhere in Crystal Peaks, you're looking at 1 minute to 2 minutes of time loss. It could be worse, it could be slightly better, but any death in this split is just catastrophic in a race.
So yes, we said Paum very comfortably getting up to that 300 geo required. Nerf had to turn around and kill a few extra husks, but did manage it without too much difficulty.
So now in Peaks, the thing we're going to want to watch is what cycles the players choose to take. I've definitely heard some talk, commentators, runners in this tournament for like what the strategy is. Crystal Peaks is very cycle based, and on a lot of the rooms, they have an option where you can take a damageless cycle that's slightly slower, or you can choose to take a damage, or very likely take a damage, but it's slightly faster. And so there's sort of a risk reward there that in a race scenario is tough because, if you're watching the stream, you see you're a tiny bit behind, that might tempt you to go for some riskier strats.
Yeah, and as Jeff said, all those risks are compounded by the fact that a death here, or even like having to kind of farm soul to full heal, is very time consuming. So there is definitely a risk-reward element. Crystal Peaks is obviously a very cycle-based area, as we said, but it's also full of enemies that tend to kind of get up in our face and punish us if we stand still for too long, like Crystal Hunters definitely spring to mind. They don't necessarily shoot as quickly on this patch as they do on current patch, but definitely still not something that we can just entirely ignore.
Oh, Paum not going for Pogax. I hate to see it. Neither does Nerf, okay. Just taking the safe and consistent way up.
Ooh, Paum going for the God Cycle there. Very nearly gets it. Was just slightly too far to the right, I think. Nerf as well, very close. Managing to make it through with 1 damage.
Nerf goes for the right side on the key room. Looks like he went for the damageless cycle, didn't get it, so took an extra hit there. Not a huge deal. We'll see what decisions they make in the Crystal Heart room that Paum is coming up on. At the end of this split, we do have a semi-mandatory damage tank in Descending Dark. It's not actually mandatory, you don't have to do it, but it saves a lot of time to do it. So you really want to have 2 health by the time you get to the end of Crystallized Mound.
Nerf's still going for that fast damage cycle, even now with only 2 HP. So they're going to have to hope that their Dark Room, which is coming up immediately after picking up Crystal Heart, goes nicely. And Nerf touching the ground right on the very right-hand side of those crystal spikes where there isn't a damage hitbox. That was slightly spooky, but well executed from both runners.
Yeah, Nerf, from here on out, Nerf basically can't take any damage. Paum has 1 hit to give. Something goes weird in the Crusher room or a weird hit in the Dark Room. The Dark Room in particular is pretty scary. So this Dark Room is pretty short, but one of the quirks of Dark Rooms in Hollow Knight is because they don't want you to get sort of stuck in a room in the dark, the hazard respawns are all replaced with spawning you at the start of the room. So if you fall into spikes in a dark room, you just immediately start at the front. Oh, Paum going for the C-dash strats. Okay.
Okay. Taking a little bit of extra safety. Nerf's going for full dash only strats, not bothering with that Crystal Hunter at all. Just deciding, like, I don't care about you because I'm going to get through that room then before you can even shoot at me. So very nice dark room from Nerf. Has brought back probably a couple of seconds there as well, because Paum did need to attack the Crystal Hunters to gather enough soul to shoot that fireball. So Nerf has saved a non-negligible amount of time there.
Yeah, really, really good cleanup, good risk reward, honestly, from Nerf, where could have chosen to slow down and heal, could have taken it a little more safely, but those strats really paying off, and they made it to Descending Dark with 2 health, which is all you need. So we're gonna see a skip here. Yet another cool use of dash slash, where if you get the last hit on the crystal for Descending Dark with dash slash, you'll continue the momentum from it, and it'll slide you into the spikes and give you early control. Saves a few seconds, but does require that you had at least 1 health to give there.
Yeah, it's a sad day when you try and attempt a hazard respawn early control skip like that, and then realize you're only on 1 HP, and that's the end of you.
Yeah, once you go for it, once you're in the slide, there's no way out of the slide. So if you have not been watching your health, you just get to sort of watch with despair as the knight slides into the spikes.
So Nerf entering the dream sequence at 25:51, Paum at 25:41. So a little bit of a lead clawed back by Nerf there. About 10 seconds the difference now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now that we're clear of Crystal Peaks, and we are clear, the players could technically fall at the end of this C-dash, but there's nothing to die on here. Ooh, Nerf gets the underplat. You love to see it.
Ooh, Paum dashing just slightly too early. That is going to eliminate about 8 seconds. So this is going to be very, very close right now.
Yeah, that's basically about the difference that they were apart. So we're going to be real tight going into Watcher Knights and then the Isma skips, which are definitely segments where we could swing either way. If Watcher Knights are jerks and roll around and get separated, you can lose a lot of time.
Okay, so it's now down to about 3 seconds difference between the two. Real close. And we are definitely halfway through right now. As you said, we're going to be fighting Watcher Knights to get our first Dreamer. And then we'll be heading down into Ancient Basin and picking up Isma's tier on the way. Not strictly required for any aspect of this run because we can do acid skips, but it is a skill, therefore we are required by law to pick it up.
Yeah, so coming into the Watcher Knights fight, so this fight really shows off the power of Descending Dark. On 1221, D-Dark has longer iframes. So you see there, you can basically just chain D-Darks from inside the Knight. The problem comes if the Knights decide to roll away, like you saw there for Nerf. And if they do, then you have to start doing Shade Souls instead. A Shade Soul, if you don't get a double, deals 40. A Descending Dark deals 88. So you're losing half your damage if you have to start shooting fireballs instead of using dives.
I will say, they're both getting horrible Watcher Knight patterns right now. There's so much bouncing and rolling, and they're almost never staying in the same place. But
yeah, they're being real jerks.
Nerf to 2 HP, but does manage to end the fight without too much difficulty. Paum just finishing off the last 2 Watcher Knights now as well. And there we go.
Yeah, very rude Watcher Knights from both players, but they managed it anyway. I know there's sort of like the joke of like, oh, all skills Watcher Knights so easy, but like you can definitely just die. You know, especially because you're using Descending Dark, you're inside their hitbox. if you slightly miscount your soul, or if they roll a little bit and aren't in a position you expect, you saw both players take quite a few hits in that fight.
I think the feeling that they are supposed to be easy encourages you to play very aggressively, which means that if things start to go wrong, they go very wrong very fast.
Yeah. We've definitely seen our share of Watcher Knight deaths in this tournament. See, 28-49 and a wow. So down to 4 seconds of lead for Paum.
Yeah, Paum having a ever so slightly better Watcher Knight's fight. He was down to about a 3-second lead after the Dreamnail cutscene, but again, very little to choose between the two.
Mm-hmm.
So Nerf's going to pick up this Watcher Knight's Geochest 655, and this is going to be one of our only kind of real major geo sources left to buy everything we need for the rest of the run, which is mostly just going to be stations and toll benches and gates and things like that.
Yeah, that 655 combined with a couple geo sources that you really can't miss, like the Devout and Beast Den, covers us for the rest of the run. So from here on out, the players don't really have to worry about geo at all. They can kind of just zoom and put that out of their heads. Which is good that they can focus, because we're coming up to the Isma's skips, which are a series of 3 skips. There's a spike tunnel and 2 acid skips that are A, difficult, and B, completely mandatory. So the players have to get this. There's no backup if you miss the skips. You just gotta do it.
Looks like Nerf is trying to do a nail art variant of the spike tunnel here.
Yeah, I know Nerf does
trouble.
the / version. Just finds that easier.
So Paum is going to be extending the lead slightly with getting that, I think, second try. But otherwise, very nice from both runners. And as you said, so this is probably one of the, if not the hardest platforming challenge, definitely, in all skills. Hornet 2 might have something to say about hardest challenge of the whole run. But yeah, mandatory unless we go through waterways, which is very slow.
Yeah, so Paum extending the lead to almost 20 seconds, it looks like. Basically just Nerf missing that skip several times and then having to heal 3 times. That is one of the downsides of the / version of the skip. I know several runners have said it's easier for them to execute. The downside is you have to charge a nail art between each attempt, so you lose even more time from missing the skip. With the normal Pogo version, each time you mess it up, you just immediately respawn and you can try again.
Ooh, no. Nerf tried to dodge the second winged sentry, but accidentally charged the C-dash in the wrong direction and had to do some very nice footwork in order to avoid taking damage there. That was a good recovery from a fairly unavoidable situation.
Yeah, stellar recovery from Nerf. I mean, in moments like that, it can be really hard to keep your head on straight when things go wrong and enemies are all around you, but just really, really perfectly moved to stay safe. Even got a couple hits of soul in there on the enemies as they were dodging around.
So Paum's sitting at the bench about 24 seconds before Nerf at this point, so has built up quite a little bit of a lead. Probably the biggest lead of the race so far, which is really saying something considering they're 30 minutes in.
Heading into Molex now. So there's only one Molek that is sort of potentially unavoidable. If you take good movement, you should be able to dodge the rest of them. Now, we see Paum got hit twice, took the mandatory one, and then got sort of an unlucky spit from one of them. Ooh. And gets a very spicy wall cling storage over the last one.
Yeah, I've never seen that before. That was really interesting.
Yeah, I'm not
going
sure.
for base in the skip is maybe losing a little bit of time here. I don't know how many attempts that took, maybe 4?
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of time loss. I believe you need to get it on the second or third try in order for it to not lose time compared to going around. Now we have Broken Vessel. Both players got the doubles to start off the fight. That's a cool 160 damage right off the bat. And very clean fight from both players.
Yeah, both fights starting off very early with one of those headbanging attacks that we can just kind of jump on top and dive on Broken Vessel repeatedly. Paum C-dashing a little bit too early before the gate fully opened there. So that's giving Nerf maybe a 1 or 2 extra seconds to catch up. But they both pick up wings without too much difficulty.
Yeah, the Broken Vessel fight is sort of deceptively difficult. With Descending Dark, with Shade Soul, Broken Vessel doesn't have a lot of health. It's not super hard. The problem is, like you saw for the players, you're going to take usually 1, maybe 2 hits on the way through the Malek room. And if you get unlucky or you make a mistake, you're taking 3, potentially 4 hits. So you're basically never at full health for the Broken Vessel fight, which means mistakes can be sort of immediately fatal, depending on how the room before went.
Yeah, as Jeff said, when you want to start that fight up with the 2 Shade Souls and hopefully get 160 damage, you really can't afford to be healing going into that fight because you're just missing out on so much damage, which is just going to have to catch up later.
So now we're going to head off to Hornet 2. The, I think, consensus hardest boss in all skills.
Yes, so certainly in this patch. In current patch, the Hollow Knight fight is quite a bit faster, and one of the Flame Pillars attacks does double damage, so that is quite a hard fight compared to in this patch. But yeah, Hornet 2 definitely the hardest boss in this category and patch combination, I would say.
Yeah. So we're going to be looking... there's a lot of options when it comes to fighting Hornet. So a full Descending Dark deals 88. A Shade Soul double deals 80. So they're pretty interchangeable as far as damage goes. A lot of it comes down to really reading the fight well and making good decisions about positioning. If Hornet's far away, you can get those doubles, but you have to make sure that you time it so that she doesn't jump out of it. And with doing the Descending Darks above Hornet, she can jump into you, and D-Dark has just enough of a wind-up that if she jumps up into you, she's going to damage you before you start the invincibility frames of Descending Dark.
Yeah, additionally, the jumpiness of Hornet does make it deceptively difficult to get all the damage from the D-Dark unless she's doing the static kind of needle throw attack.
Yeah.
But neither runner taking a safety bench here, so we'll have to pray that they're both feeling very confident in their fight. Nerf getting a Shade Soul parry there, that is really unfortunate. Probably the worst kind of instance that you want to see.
Yeah.
You're just missing out on so much damage.
Yeah, unfortunately, Hornet 2 can actually parry spells. Very clean fight from Nerf regardless.
Yeah, doing really well to counter that Shade Soul parry. Paum is going to be losing a little bit of time here. He's gotten quite unlucky with Hornet's patterns, but does manage to finish the fight off in the end.
Yeah, Paum sort of showing what happens when the fight starts to go longer. One of Hornet's attacks is spawning those little spike balls throughout the arena. The longer the fight goes, the more chance that happens. And those can be very dangerous in a fight where positioning and movement is already important. Having hazards all around the screen is problematic. So you saw Paum having to take time, basically just to not fight the fight, to clear out those spike balls.
So Nerf, I think, managed to reduce the lead down, or the deficit rather, down to about 10 seconds with that fight. So, yeah, very close between the runners once again. And you saw an instance of the nail art early control there from Nerf standing up immediately. Paum still has his UI, so I'm not sure whether he didn't go for the nail art early control.
He might have not gone for it. So the early control with the nail art it does save a very small amount of time. It's not a gigantic time save. But if you release the nail art too early, the knight will turn invisible and you'll get in control too early. In a normal scenario, that would disqualify your run. For tournament purposes, it's a time penalty. And it could be Paum is just saying, you know, I'm not going to risk the time penalty. I'm just going to let my character stand up. I don't need that extra, you know, small time save. I'm just going to be safe.
So both runners are now going to be acquiring our second Dreamer, Umu, and whilst we're in Dirtmouth, we're just going to go and grab Cyclone Slash from the Howling Cliffs while we're on the way.
Reading chat, Paum lost most of that time on Hornet 2, yeah? Nerf had a pretty good Hornet 2 fight outside of the double parry, and Paum did not have as clean of a fight.
So Nerf's going to be going underneath King's Pass via Fury of the Fallen in order to get up to Cliffs. Paum is just going to opt to go all the way over the top, which I believe is slightly faster. I'm not sure on the numbers there, though.
I don't know by how much, and I've seen Nerf do that before. I don't know if that's just a strat they're more comfortable with or what. I believe it's slightly slower because you don't get to keep that C dash at the start going the entire time. I'm seeing Boomer strat in the chat, so that checks out.
So Paum may have extended a couple of seconds here or there, but again, it's still very close. One missed Umu one cycle. It could definitely sway that and more. So when we fight Umu, we're going to try and get a position where we can put Umu slightly out of bounds and then fire off some Shade Souls that are all going to double, and we'll be able to kill Umu outside of the arena in one single cycle. If we miss that one cycle and Umu kind of goes invulnerable again, we have to wait for Quirrell to make it vulnerable once again. So that's going to cost maybe 15-20 seconds, depending on how quickly we get the 2 cycle after that point.
Right. And this is another potentially RNG choke point. So the 1 cycle setup is consistent, relatively speaking. I mean, you still have to execute. There's still a little variance in there, but is relatively consistent. Umu, however, has a chance to do an extra attack. And if that happens, it can be very difficult to recover the 1 cycle. It's doable, but it can be particularly difficult because now they're sort of out of the position you expect Umu to be in.
I'm pretty sure Paum just tried to do a Crossroads acid skip there without realizing that he has Ismas and just gets sucked into the acid. He doesn't need to do that one. Or is it actually can you actually still do a C dash through the acid there without being sucked in? I might be completely misinformed.
I don't believe you can do one there. I know you can't do QGA with Ismas. I don't believe you can even do the Crossroads one. But yeah, the any percent or TE muscle memory from Paum is just a little too strong there.
I couldn't tell whether that was just a muscle memory thing or if he had like some huge brained play that I wasn't aware of. It's very possible. So we're going to try and put Umu all the way on the right border here and then throw it out of bounds with Shade Souls.
Yep. And setup looks good from Nerf, so we'll see if they get the execution. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. And they got it.
Yeah. You can see there was a little bit of a delay there where Nerf was just waiting for Umu to be pushed out of bounds by the 4th nail hit. We need Umu to be out of bounds by the time we shoot the Shade Soul, or the first one doesn't double, I believe. Paum does miss the 1 cycle though.
Yeah, it looked like his first fireball out of bounds. He got the out of bounds push clean. It looked like the first fireball was a little too soon. There wasn't quite enough time. Yeah, and was, you know, a trivial amount of damage short.
That's the horrible thing that I remember from any percent. When you go for the 2 cycle, you miss it. Umu becomes vulnerable on the 3rd cycle and it dies in like a single nail hit. You always feel like so close you were robbed a little bit, but I think Nerf might actually be taking the lead here with that.
Yeah, that's a 40-32 on the pause after Monomon, so we'll see where Paum's at. Given how small the lead was before, it was about 14 seconds. An extra cycle is more than that, even outside of Paum's muscle memory with that acid skip, so we should see Nerf in the lead from here.
It's going to be very close either way.
Yeah, we got a 35 on that, so 3 seconds.
So Nerf takes the lead for maybe the first time, or like the first kind of lead in certainly a while. Paum has had the lead for, I think, since maybe Dream Nail.
Yeah, I think even in the early game, I don't know that Nerf has been ahead yet. And if they have, it's been less than a second.
So nice use of Cyclone Slash there to break that little wall very quickly.
You see Paum taking some hits here. Doesn't actually matter. We have to get Archives bench for some quit outs. So getting hit on the climb out after Monomon really doesn't matter.
Yeah, we want to be picking up our 3rd Dreamer and then going to clean up things in the Abyss as soon as possible, but Great Slash is a little bit out of the way. It would be faster to go from Green Path Stag Station, but Geo is so tight at the beginning of the run that we can't really afford to get that, so we have to go up to Green Path once again from Teacher's Archives, and then we save and quit back to that Archives bench that you saw both runners stop at after we've picked up Great Slash.
Yeah, both Great Slash and Howling Wraiths sort of just out in the middle of nowhere. So this is the closest we come to them with the tools to actually get them. Obviously, we're in Green Path earlier, but we don't have Crystal Dash or Wings to go get Great Slash.
Nerf with a very clean green gauntlet so far. Ooh, very close to the thorns on the ceiling there. I was a little bit nervous, but making it nicely.
Just keeping it exciting for chat.
Yeah, that's not a C-dash, Nerf. We just little short distance there.
Yeah, for those wondering about like C-dashes and dashes when you see the players doing them, so if you're ever traveling 4 dashes of distance or more, you want to be C-dashing. 4, I believe, is the break point where a Crystal Dash becomes faster, given that it has the charge-up time. Anything less than that, it's quicker to just be dashing. So that's something that goes into a lot of the routing of these rooms, is like, where can we find a clean platform that lets us get a nice big C-dash across this room and things like that.
Yeah, 4 dashes and 1 Crystal Dash are about the same. If we're going through a transition, then Crystal Dash saves us a little bit of extra time. And if for some reason we have Dash Master on, then I think it's 5 dashes. Because obviously we can refresh our dash just slightly faster.
Yeah, once you have Dash Master, it's very different math. Alright, off to the Howling Wraiths arena. Which I have been told by numerous people in the community that there actually is a consistent way to do this arena. I don't believe it, because it's never happened to me. I think it's basically just random nonsense and I'm flailing around the whole time. But I've heard you can do it consistently if you know what you're doing.
Well, this looks like a very nice setup from Nerf, but as you can see, if anything goes ever so slightly wrong, you have to kind of adapt on the fly, and I think I agree with you, Jeff. I've seen that arena maybe tens to maybe even 100 times, and I don't feel like I've ever seen the arena go the same way twice.
Oh yeah, Nerf pulls that off really well. One squid was slightly out of position, and so they weren't able to do the D-Dark that you would normally do at the end to clean all of them up, but otherwise, that was a textbook Wraiths arena. Ooh.
Paum shooting Shade Soul just slightly too low there and missing one of the bench fires. Unless that was intentional to get a bit of soul later, but as you can see, things start to go wrong very fast in this arena if you have even the slightest misstep. So that's a bit unfortunate, but Paum does recover nicely.
I'm amazed that Shade Soul missed. It really looked like it was there. It must have been, you know, pixels off. It was very close.
You see Paum taking the time to heal up there. Every time we pick up a spell, at least definitely the base spells, we do gain full soul. And we're going to be going through Queen's Gardens and then Dark Deep Nest, two fairly dangerous areas, and we also have to take a mandatory damage tank on the Thorns that you just saw Nerf do there. So I don't think that taking that extra heal is a bad idea, especially in a race when it's this close.
Yeah, not at all. And we see Nerf took an extra hit there. So there's the mandatory hit. There's a broken hazard respawn after that first Petra arena. If you dunk in the spikes in a certain position, it'll spawn you underneath. Saves a few seconds of going around. So
that was a beautiful room from Nerf. I've just got to say before I forget about that. Like,
yeah, it was really
never
nice.
Stopped holding left. Like always, kind of hard on the dash. Really nice.
And we see Nerf did take a heal. You're normally at 4, so I would expect these runners to be comfortable being at 4 HP going through this dark room. This first one is by far the scariest dark room. It's the largest, and if you do get hit, you go all the way back to the start, which, on top of enemies then being spawned and potentially floors being broken, is a lot scarier.
Paum down to 2 HP here, trying to go just a little bit too fast. I think he dashed as he walked off the platform and didn't quite refresh dash, so that's unfortunate. We really want to be keeping at least 2 casts of spells worth of soul, because we want to quick kill a Devout at the very end of the Beast's Den area. So we don't want to have to heal up too much if we can help it. But obviously, healing and farming that soul off another enemy is better than dying and going all the way back to the Archives bench.
Right. Yeah, I would have expected to see Paum heal once, given that he was, you know, sort of took the caution after Wraiths to heal once there. I'm surprised to see just doing this at 2 HP.
Yeah, this is kind of scary.
Though.
This is kind of scary for Paum because there's an enemy on the wall here, and if he hits the enemy and the enemy hits him into the spikes, he'll take 2 damage immediately, but he navigates that very nicely.
Yeah. Luckily, these dark rooms that we have to do in all skills are rooms that you do in the light in any percent and some other categories where, like, I know Paum and Nerf both have a lot of experience in any percent, where I'm sure they could probably do those rooms blindfolded in a pinch. So it could just be Paum is saying, yeah, 2 health is plenty. I'm that confident in this room.
So we saw Nerf quitting out from the Hera Dream at 46-34. So Paum is going to be quite a little bit behind here. I think the lead has definitely grown more than the kind of 3 or 4 seconds that it was after Umu.
$46.50, so 16 seconds.
16 seconds, yeah, and there really isn't that much in terms of areas left to go in the run. We just need to make a trip back to the Ancient Basin, and we're now going to do the Abyss. We're going to upgrade our Howling Wraith spell into the Abyss Shriek, and we're going to pick up Shade Cloak, the upgraded dash. And that's really all we have left before going to fight the Hollow Knight.
Yeah, and in terms of major time loss, you could take a death on the sibling climb. That's certainly possible. The siblings do deal double damage, so you don't have a lot of leeway with that. But I think probably the biggest potential spot for Paum to catch up is going to be on Abyss Climb. If
Yeah,
Paum has a really clean Abyss Climb and Nerf takes like an accidental hazard respawn right at the beginning because it puts you all the way back at the bottom, that could definitely equalize things.
Yeah, with how well these runners have been playing so far, I think a death from either obviously kind of decides the race, but I don't want that to happen, and I don't think that's going to happen. But as you said, like a hazard respawn back to the bottom of a room, or having to take a bench before the final boss because there was too much damage taken on the sibling climb, could easily sway kind of 5 to 10 seconds in one direction or the other.
Right. Yeah, Nerf takes one hit there, but not a big deal. We do a quit out at Shade Cloak to save on the animation, which conveniently puts you back to full. So not really a worry on that front. And we see Paum coming into Abyss.
Yeah, there's nothing now that can damage Nerf. We just avoid a Shade Gate and, some Void Tendrils. As you said, pick up Shade Cloak, quit out, and then we're at full health again, so nothing to worry about here. Paum also going to be doing Sibling Climb in just a second, so we'll see how they get on. Getting very close to some siblings there, but making it look pretty easy. Just missing a wall jump at the very end, slowing down a tiny bit, but otherwise very clean.
Yeah, very, very clean climb from Paum. Whew. Nerf almost goes into some Void Tendrils there.
Yeah, this is really, really close. If we can get a little resync maybe right before the final boss perhaps, then that would be pretty cool. I think there's probably less than 10 or 15 seconds difference between the two right now.
Yeah, it looks at Shade Cloak, I counted 18.
Okay.
Paum had a little bit of trouble coming out of Beast Den. Got a little hung up on that Devout on the bottom. But, I mean, 18 seconds is within the margin for Abyss Climb plus THK RNG. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Especially if THK decides to parry repeatedly, or if one of the runners gets like a scream skip on one or more of the phases. But yeah, Abyss Climb, where good runs unfortunately come to die, but hopefully not today.
Yeah,
Nerf looking pretty good so far without too much difficulty, very confident pogoing those spike walls. Missing that first pogo and just very quickly deciding to go for a backup, that was a nice kind of recovery there.
Yeah, it doesn't save much time. Luckily, if you miss that spike pogo... Oh, no.
Ooh, dear, that's really not good. Nerf missed a lot of platforms on the way down there. At the very, very end.
It really does feel in Abyss Climb like if you miss a jump, it feels like the platforms move out from under you. Like you try and adjust, you're like, okay, I'll move left, I'll land on a platform. And then it misses you. So, okay, I'll move back right. And then you miss the next platform. And that's definitely going to help Paum if Paum can have a clean climb from there.
Oh, we'll have a look. Paum just starting the Abyss Climb now. I wonder if either runner knows, if they're watching the stream, what the kind of time difference is, and whether they go for more risky strategies and like more damage trades during the final boss, knowing that that could be the difference between a win and a loss. Paum going up the right side of that spike wall, which I haven't seen before, but making that look very nice.
.55. So we're 12 seconds apart now after that climb.
both runners look like they're going to have the exact same amount of soul going into the fight, so they'll be able to open up with potentially 2 Abyss Shrieks if THK is nice and decides to just stand still.
Yeah, notably Paum at 4 health, not 5.
We'll have to see if he benches here in Dirtmouth or if he decides. He is just going to go with it.
Yeah,
I think
just going for it.
I respect that. He has to just trust that if he dies, then the race is over anyway. So
yeah, I'm definitely a fan here. You know, you want to play safe in the middle, but at this point, like, you're at the end. You just gotta go for it. You gotta risk it for the biscuit.
Nerf getting some good Abyss Shriek damage in here. As you said very early on, Abyss Shriek with Shaman Stone does 30 damage per tick for 120 damage total. And the Whole Knight's head is so big that if he's kind of standing over us and we just use the Abyss Shriek, then we can mostly get all of those ticks. But Nerf's having a little bit of trouble, maybe a bit nervous to not get quite so close to THK.
Yeah, Nerf missed 2 Abyss Shrieks prior to this self-stab that were just slightly off.
And then did actually heal once before Whole Knight woke up there, though, so that's GG for Nerf, finishing the final blow. We'll have to see how Paum does.
Yep.
Either way, this is going to be a very good time for both runners. Nerf's PB before this, I believe, was a 52.45, so they're going to be less than 30 seconds behind that.
So that is a 53.10 from Nerf.
Oh, Paum just missed the Scream skip there. He could have finished with the Abyss Shriek there. THK had just a little bit more health than we thought. This is going to be very, very close, guys.
Yeah.
GG to both runners, but I think Nerf might just take this based on how long this animation takes.
Yeah, I want to say it's like 20 seconds-ish or something like that. Maybe not quite that many.
Wow, what a race!
Wow, yeah, 7 seconds difference. Insane.
So as we said at the beginning, their leaderboard PBs had 2 seconds between each other. Their unverified PBs had 16 seconds between each other. And in the race, they were only 7 seconds apart, split right down the middle. That's a fantastic race from both runners. I can't wait to get them in here to find out their thoughts.
Yeah, just a crazy, absolutely crazy race. To only be 7 seconds apart at the end is wild. So yeah, we'll get the runners on in here when they're ready.
Yep.
GG.
Synchronized joining of the voice channel as well. Well done, guys. That was an excellent race, both of you.
Yeah, GG.
Yeah, that was absolutely insane. I was sweating bullets like that entire time.
Yeah, it was. I mean, basically the whole time was like neck and neck. And then at Umu there was some separation. And then Nerf, what was going through your mind when you had that fall right at the end of the Abyss climb?
Oh, I have been grinding Abyss climb so hard these past couple days just to get a good one during the race, and I completely screwed it up. That was very disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, nerves. The race was still very close.
Yeah, I don't think there was ever a time when there was more of a kind of 20, definitely not a 30-second difference between the both of you. Paum, you had the lead for most of the race, and what happened with the Umu? With the
I think I wasn't far enough right. I don't actually know. I was really pissed at that because after I threw the fireball off screen, I was like happy. I'm like, oh, I threw fire one cycle, and then I didn't. I was like,
yeah,
oh.
I mean, I think we both agreed that the setup looked fine. I'm not
looked
well
fine to
versed enough
me.
in the 1-2-2-1 one cycle to really know
I mean,
what the problem there was. So I
Yeah.
was a little bit confused.
for the last nail hit, I think I was just barely too far right. You kind of have to be far enough away that you're closer to the platform than the wall, but still close enough to hit it with the nail. I don't know, man. It was like, it felt. I felt so sad that I didn't get that. I didn't understand that.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
looked
same.
really good. And the only thing I could think of watching is the fireball was a little too early. Like your nail cancel was too good, but it looked so good.
I've never had that. I didn't know that was a thing. Maybe.
Bad luck for it to happen in the race, but thank you for a fantastic performance. It was excellent to watch.
Yeah, it was a good race.
Yeah, I
We're-
really didn't want like either of us to have like some Umu BS during the race, so that was just really unfortunate. I was upset at that too. I saw it and I was just like, that totally should have been a one cycle.
Mhm.
Were you both watching the restream throughout then?
I wasn't.
Yeah, I was.
Almost.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an incredibly tight race. Honestly, like the one cycle, obviously there was some like very small movement things. Watcher Knights was pretty rude to both of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know it was rude to me.
Yeah, it was. They were gigantic jerks. I know there was some spit difference. I think
Oh, yeah, I
Paum
got
got
full
Paum got a first and Nerf got a sixth.
Yeah, not a great way to. We were like perfectly in sync on stream up until then, and then. Yeah.
Yeah, I missed the third fireball skip though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I missed the second, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, you both made very, very small mistakes in different places, but it worked out that you were very close throughout, like, almost everything. What really brought it back, which is, I think, one of the least things I expected, was on the Dream Nail sequence, Paum. Your dash was just a tiny bit too early, and
Yeah.
I've had that happen, and it's such a silly way to lose like 8 seconds, and you kind of hate yourself, so I felt a bit bad for that.
Thanks.
Nerf, what did you think about your Hornet 2 fight? Because I think you got 1, maybe 2 Shade Soul parries, which were a bit unlucky, but the fight was over before it even started, so
Yeah,
it
I
looked like a
think-
really good fight.
Yeah, other than those couple little hiccups there, I think that's probably one of my best fights so far. And before I started streaming, I died to Hornet like multiple times while I was practicing, so kind of a little worried there going into the fight.
Getting all of the bad luck and all the bad vibes out the way before the race.
Exactly. Yeah.
Only the real one matters.
Yep.
Good. Either of you have anything before we wrap this up and send it off?
Nah, I'm just like, I don't know. I'd like to ask someone that knows why that didn't one cycle. Because, like, I would do the exact same thing again, basically. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I'm sure someone in the chat was watching, lurking, and knows exactly what's going on there.
I want to say it's definitely one of the best races of the tournament so far. That was really great.
Yeah, I'm happy it was a good race. I'm happy neither of us, like, died to lose, like, 2 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Well, all right. GG to both of you. That was a great race. It was awesome to watch.
Yeah, thanks guys, that was great, and obviously best of luck in your remaining races and for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep.
GG's.
So we'll be back with another race in about 45 minutes, I believe, which is going to be the final race of this Swiss round 2 between Murray and Rhino. That's still going to be on this channel, I believe. So go grab yourself something to eat, something to drink, have a little stretch, and we'll see you all back very, very soon. Thank you for watching, and thanks Speed Gaming for having us. It's been a blast.